Hello, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a full review on Taskmaster Series 16 because it has been such a fantastic season. Part of me has regretted not doing like a week by week episode review, but I have just thoroughly enjoyed it. I feel like my opinion each week would just be like, this is amazing again. So yes, I thought a full review would be good, just to kind of explain why I think this is possibly one of their strongest seasons. So obviously what makes a great season of Taskmaster is, I think, a mixture of the tasks, the contestants, and then also like the studio environment, which is not necessarily wholly on the contestants, but also on Greg and Alex and how they interact with the contestants. So first of all, let's talk about the tasks. I think generally the tasks have been pretty strong. I think they've had a couple of weak ones, like the robot one wasn't perhaps the best, and I thought the sleeping task wasn't that great. Like as a task, I think it was made funny by the contestants' reactions to it, but I think generally those tasks are probably on the weaker side. But overall, I think we've had a really, really good set of tasks. I think we've had ones that have been quite simple. I think the underneath it task was quite simple and one of my favourite ones because it was, just get underneath the most things. And that I think was very, very good. Simple, kind of very retro Taskmastery, but then also very entertaining. And then we've had more of the trickier tasks and ones that rely on the contestants thinking outside the box a lot. I think the art tasks were particularly good. Sometimes they're not my favourite just because I think a lot of the time it depends on like the artistic ability of the contestant, which isn't something that you can really I don't know, I don't want to say it's not fair because it's a game and it's like, you know, people have different strengths. But a lot of the time it's just like the best artist wins. And I think that the tasks that they've done this time are ones that involve not just artistic ability, that kind of push them a little bit. So we had like the wire task, which I thought was quite a good one, and then the 100 squares one, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, and the fact that 4 out of 5 of the contestants actually managed to do really good jobs. And again, it didn't really depend on their artistic ability. They thought outside the box, like Susan did the whole red painting, Julian did the dot, and then Sue and Sam did fantastic replications of really, really good art. So they were just really good. And then you had just the chaos and Lucy, which I think balanced it out quite nicely. The mischief task, hands down, I think is one of the best moments in Taskmaster. Susan's task was just absolutely fantastic, and I thought everybody's attempts were quite good. I think Julian writing the letters to Jacob Rees-Mogg and Stephen Mulhern was just fantastic, just simple but just so funny and very mischievous. But yes, Susan's one was absolutely great, and the fact that I don't know whether I assume she chose Sam, but it would have to depend on who was after her in filming. And I think that she chose the best contestant for that. I do think all of them would have had great reactions to it, but I just love that he gave it his all and it just meant nothing and was just hilarious. And yeah, Susan I thought was absolutely fantastic in that task. And obviously I can't talk about tasks without talking about the hotel task in the last episode. This task I thought was genuinely one of the best things that they've done on the show in a while. I thought it was such a good idea. And yeah, so I think doing it as a team task was the best idea as well, because I mean it was quite hectic for one person to do by themselves, but I think it had them working together in a situation, like in a task that they haven't had to work together in before. They had to really collaborate, and I think we got the best example of both approaches in this set of contestants. Obviously we had the Sues doing a genuinely really good job and really trying to amp up that really good customer service and deliver something that was really a really nice experience for Alex. I thought we had a really good approach from both teams. Like we got the best of both ways they could have done with it. Like either going really, really actually trying to do the task well and then just messing with Alex. And I thought both attempts were absolutely hilarious. I thought the Sues worked so well together. I mean, they have throughout the series. I think their relationship, their bond this season has been absolutely amazing. And I'll get on to more of that in a minute. But yeah, it was competent. They were competent. It was funny. Sue with the cucumber was, I haven't laughed that much in a while, and I don't know why. Like I was literally crying. I don't know why that tickled me so much, but I thought it was so funny. And I think it was just generally such a wholesome thing, and them just getting a bit annoyed at Alex but keeping the kind of professional demeanour I thought was fantastic. I love when Susan just looked into the camera and was like, I prefer Alex. the whole task was so well structured. And then we had the team of 3 just going absolutely bonkers with it. And yeah, very much like antagonizing Alex. I think Sam in the room, like saying hi, like, oh God, it was just so funny. And Lucy was just absolutely on, I mean, all of them were on form, I think, this entire season, but Lucy in this task particularly, I thought was absolute chaos, and I loved every second of it. And then contrasted with Julian and his annoyance at Alex, I think really kind of brought to light in this episode. But yeah, it was overall such a fantastic task, and I think, yeah, as I said, I think one of the best things that they've done in a while, like just absolutely amazing. And I do think it is something that could be carried on to different seasons as well. I'm not saying it should be like an every season thing, but like a few seasons from now, if you know, they could bring it back either as like another team task or an individual, or they could change it up and have like more than one guest staying there. Like they can work with this idea of a Taskmaster hotel, and I think integrate that into more like future seasons, which I would love to see. With the hotel task as well, I feel like we saw Alex in a different light. Like he was more involved in the antagonizing of the contestants, because a lot of the time he's just passive, watching, giving instructions, not helping, not involving himself. He's neither a nuisance or helpful. This task, he played a completely different character. Obviously, he played Chris, but I think that he's perhaps getting a bit more, antagonising is the only word I can think of, but if we think back to the task, I can't remember what episode it was in, but the one where they had to get the ball into the hole and he was standing over the hole, like I feel like he's getting a bit more like involved in the actual task, if that makes sense, rather than just giving them the task, standing back and watching it and taking records. He's more involved in, you know, challenging them a bit more, which I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was a really nice addition to the series. And of course, like I said, the final episode, we also had another amazing task, which was the donut one. I say amazing. Disgusting is probably the better word to use for that, but I like how, I'm glad they saved that for the last episode, because like it truly like it was shocking. I thought it did exactly what the task was supposed to do. Lucy and Susan have outdone themselves in this one, like absolutely disgusting. And one thing as well that I think they've managed to do really well this time is the prize task. Like normally the prize task for me is like one of the weakest parts in terms of like them doing the tasks, but I think each episode they've consistently brought in decent prizes for the most part, and also brought in a funny thing to tell about that prize, which they have done in other seasons, but I feel like this time it's just been extra special. Like Lucy's and Sam's madness when it comes to these tasks, and like you don't know what the story is going to be with their task, with their prize. But I think Julian, especially in this one, and Sue, I think have consistently brought in good prizes. And made it really entertaining. Like Julian, for me, just seems like he's just gone around his house, picked something that relates to the task, and each time it's been a good prize. I can just imagine his house filled with just the most unique, amazing things. And yeah, I just thought the prize task this time, I was generally like looking forward to seeing what they were bringing in, which a lot of the time, like I've heard people skip the prize task, which I would never do. Like it's always entertaining, but like it's never been something that I've actively looking forward to see what they've been like bringing in. I think probably season 7 was the last time, because you had Rod with, most of the time it was something to do with Greg, and Phil with his haggling it down. Like I think, yeah, they've brought back that, I'm actually excited to see what they're going to win. The studio tasks were generally pretty good in my opinion. I thought that, they did bring a really good studio environment. They were quite entertaining. The ones where they had to take the sip out of the drink, that I think is my favourite studio task this season. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Like even before Sue sacrificed herself, unintentionally, but even before that happened, I was really enjoying it. I thought, Lucy doing really well, but then like smashing the glass on the floor, and I think everybody like really, really trying. You could see the concentration in all their faces, and I thought that one was such a fantastic task. The pineapple task as well, perhaps not the best task, but just made better by them working together to hiding the pineapples, thinking of good ideas of how they can trick Greg, and then obviously Susan, just absolutely fantastic in this task. And of course I've got to talk about the secret task, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about the secret task. I think the actual task itself I thought was really good. I like the idea of all the teams, like the teams running around trying to find the secret task, and do they work together, do they not work together? I thought the whole setup of that task was really, really good. But for me, it felt a little bit underwhelming because of how much they had hyped it up. Like, I was ready for a massive reveal of them cutting to another contestant finding the secret task like days earlier, and then of course that impacting the scores. Like that, I was ready for that, and I did think for a minute, oh, maybe like this is why they've hyped it up, because everyone's gonna pick Sam and he's gonna lose all of his points, which I did feel like they were going for that, but like it didn't have any impact whatsoever. All that happened was Sue lost a point and gained a hat. Like there was nothing there, like nothing happened. And I'm glad, like, you know, someone didn't lose like 10 points or whatever it would have been. I feel like I would have thoroughly enjoyed it if they hadn't kept talking about it so much. If they'd mentioned it in the first episode, you know, where they cut to the bit where Alex was asking them if they found the secret task, then, you know, we could have forgotten about that and then remembered it later. It's like, oh, this is a secret task. That's pretty cool that they were trying to get them to find it. And I guess what they had that they had wanted was for somebody to find it beforehand, and they just didn't. But yeah, I was really, really expecting someone to have found it, and I think, like I said, it was a good task, but I feel like they maybe perhaps hyped it up a bit too much. They got it in our heads. But on the other side, like, I did really enjoy theorising about where the secret task could be and stuff like that. So in terms of the build-up, very, very fun. And I really enjoyed that part of it. But yeah, I don't know how they could have done it differently. Like, I don't know if they got the result that they wanted or anything like that. Okay, on to the contestants. I thought all 5 were amazing from start to finish. I thought this was such a great group of people. It was such like a wholesome feel to them all. So like individually, I think they all were amazing. Like Julian and his sarcastic comments towards Alex, not 100% sure if he knew what he was getting into in the start, but I think even though his demeanour was that he was annoyed, I think he generally did have a really good time. You could see him kind of stifling laughter now and again to keep that like appearance to him, but yeah, I thought he was amazing, and I think he really did have a different approach to it, kind of similar to Joe Brand and David Baddiel, like their approach to it, but was actually good at the tasks a lot of the time. I thought his sarcastic comments to Alex never got old, and I think to me it kind of got a bit endearing as it went along, like, you know, them talking about going bird watching, and, you know, I think he was just trying to figure Alex out a lot of the time, which I really, really liked. And as I said, I think his prize tasks were always like a treat to hear the story around this item that he's brought in. And his last prize task, like, come on, that was great. With Lucy, I was already a big fan of Lucy before she came on the show. And so I was expecting a lot of wildness and craziness from her, and because I really like Meet the Richardsons, and I think she's fantastic on that. And I think she, even though I kind of knew what her character was like, she still blew me away. She still surprised me. I think every time she spoke, I never knew what her next word was going to be, and I absolutely loved that. I thought she was so fascinating, and the way that she baffled everybody all the time with what she was saying, I thought she was just amazing, and it's just really, really funny. And as I said, I was a big fan of her beforehand. So yeah, she was the one that I was possibly the most excited for when this cast was revealed. So yeah, I think for me, she absolutely delivered. I thought, yeah, as I said, she was just hilarious from start to finish. Sam, I didn't know going into the season, but he is perhaps one of my favourite contestants that they've ever had. I thought he really embraced Taskmaster from like the very first like task. And yeah, I just loved the way that he, like with Lucy, his mind seems to work differently from everybody else's. And I loved all the things he came up with, like, you know, cutting the hair in the first episode, like that was amazing. And yeah, I thought he was genuinely hilarious. I loved his dedication to the tasks. Sue, like, is obviously iconic. Everyone knows Sue, and everyone knew she'd be fantastic. And I thought she brought like an immediate presence to the studio. Even when she wasn't talking, I felt like you knew what she was thinking. She had really great reactions to things, and like her facial expressions, I thought she did a really good job of making her feelings known without like always speaking all the time. And I thought that was really good. I haven't really seen that before in a contestant, but yeah, I really liked just her entire approach to everything. It seemed like she was just having a great time. I don't think she set out to win. I thought she just set out to kind of do some fun things, and in that I think she did quite well. And I was surprised about how low she scored in the end. Like, she came 4th, I believe. I feel like for me, Sue was in between Susan and Julian. She had all that like joy and energy that Susan has, but then the annoyance towards Alex that Julian had. And I think it just worked really, really well. And as it landed with Susan, I thought she was an absolute joy to have on the show. She looked like she was enjoying every second. And I thought, yeah, she looked like she was having the time of her life. And as well, I think she did bring like a little bit of like shock to it as well, because a lot of the time she did seem like this innocent, bubbly person, but then would make these wild comments and do insane things like the donut task. And yeah, I just thought she knew how to play the show in terms of having fun. And yeah, I thought it was just really, really nice to watch. Like, I feel like I would be like her in the task, just having the time of my life. And as I said earlier in the video, I think that this group of contestants was just so wholesome, and I think we've had a different dynamic going into this season, because a lot of the time the contestants are working against each other to try and win, but this season it felt like they were working together against Greg and Alex. You know, we've had more obvious examples of like them working together in the studio tasks to try and, you know, trick Alex and Greg, like with the pineapples, but then also in the one where they had to put the balls on the head. Sue's immediate thought was, can we collaborate? And I thought that was really nice. Sometimes contestants have done that in previous seasons where they have helped each other, but it's not been so obvious and so like defiant, which I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought it was so different, and I really liked that. I don't think we had a single moment where a contestant argued that they should have more points than somebody else, that they did a better job, or that somebody should get disqualified. In fact, we had the opposite, where contestants were helping each other. Like, obviously with the sip the drink task, Sue went out and got the cup. But even before that, they were all working together, like, oh, how can you get that? We can lasso over it. You know, they were working together to help Julian to get more points, who at that point was at least second place. He might have been in the lead, but he was one of the higher scoring contestants, and they were all willing to help him, which I thought was lovely. And then we also had in the task where they had to like do all the instructions, like shake hands and that task, you know, you had Sam saying, no, give the team of 2 points. You know, they were working together to get each other more points, and I just thought that was wonderful. I thought the way that they grouped the teams up like worked to their favour as well, because, you know, the Sues were just, as I said, having a really great time, really bonding. It just instantly seemed like best friends. And then you had the team of 3 that started off a bit quite awkward, but that awkwardness, I think, worked in their favour and made it like really entertaining to watch. And then when we brought back into the studio, as I said, a lot of my enjoyment from the show comes from the studio environment and how well they work together, how well they work with the crowd. Even though I wasn't there, unfortunately, I would have loved to have been, but it felt like the audience was having the time of their lives as well. And I think as well, with the contestants working together a lot, we also had a closer relationship between Greg and Alex, which they have teased at before. They have said that their relationship is going to get more like friendly rather than boss and servant kind of thing. And I think their relationship this time was a lot nicer. It felt like they were just being themselves rather than being the characters of the Taskmaster and the assistant. Obviously, there are still elements of that, like there's always going to be. But I feel like this time there was a lot more like personal things, like Greg joking about Alex having a jacuzzi, Alex bringing in that necklace to help because he felt bad with Greg and his troubled brain. You know, it was more like personal jokes towards each other rather than jokes about the character, if that makes sense. And I think that combined with all the contestants working together just created such a lovely studio environment. I do have one minor complaint, and this isn't just a this series complaint, but I really, really want them to bring back the reactions in the studio while they're playing the tasks. This is something I think we lost around season 9 or 10, possibly a bit earlier, but I love seeing the reactions of the contestants watching their tasks back and like watching their attempts. The thing that really triggered this for me is I've been rewatching the New Zealand ones and they still do it. And in the sleeping task, I really wanted to see the reactions of the other contestants when Sam bribed the child. Like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't a great reaction, maybe they just thought it was funny, but like, you can imagine in other casts that people would have had such a great reaction to that. And I don't know why they haven't brought that back or why they stopped doing it. My thought was that, they stopped doing it for COVID because people were spread out a bit more, you couldn't get those reactions, but like, I definitely feel like they should bring it back because I really enjoy it. I'm not saying it should be every task should have that reaction, but every once in a while, if there's a great reaction in the studio, to show that. Anyway, but I don't know, it might not have worked with this season, but yeah, that was just something that I was thinking about. I was like, I really, really miss that. This season is definitely one of my favourites. It could potentially be my favourite. I'm going to have to assess that and rewatch them all again, but I think from week to week, this is the one that I've most been looking forward to. I've had more excitement. The weeks have felt longer. I just feel like this season they've just had something special, and it's really, really been making me look forward to each week. And these 10 weeks have gone too quickly. And yeah, I'm really excited for season 17. Unfortunately, we didn't get the announcement for series 17, which I was a bit shocked at. Even with other New Year's treats, it hasn't been released at the end of the episode. But I already, unfortunately, I've already had one contestant spoiled. I know a lot of people don't really care about the big reveal. I personally really, really enjoy it. If I'm not there in the studio audience, I don't want to find out who's in it until they reveal it, because I think that's so fun, the reveal of them all, the theorizing who's going to win. I personally really enjoy that, and unfortunately I have seen quite a lot of leaks. I've only had one contestant that I know is in there. There's some other people that I've seen speculated, but I've just stopped looking at contestant theories now, because theory predictions and stuff, because I just don't want people to confirm it. If you've gone to the studio audience, just keep quiet about who's on it, because I don't want it to be spoiled. And I know I'm probably the minority in this, but I really enjoyed that reveal, which we're going to get probably on New Year's, which I think is quite fun. We'll get that reveal after the New Year's treat, which would be a great way to start the year. Speaking of the New Year's treat, I am actually really looking forward to this one. Normally there's one or two people that I'm quite excited for, but this time I think we're going to have a really, really interesting cast. Steve-Bynoe is the one that I'm most looking forward to. I watched Deadly 60 loads as a kid, and I always thought he was very entertaining on that. He's willing to do more more adventurous things. He's done some things he's gone through difficult things. He's willing to put himself out there, and I think that would be a really great characteristic to bring to more silly tasks. We also have the youngest contestant ever to appear on the show. That's Lenny Rush, and he's an actor. He's worked with Daisy May Cooper before, and yeah, I think it'd be quite interesting to see how that plays out. Deborah Meaden, I think, is quite a fun contestant to have on the show. She's done some things on Would I Lie to You before, so I think she could be quite good on this as well. And it seems like it's such a dream for her to be on the show. She's very excited for it. She's talked about it before, how she's wanted to go on it. So I think that's great that she gets that chance. The next contestant is Kojo Radical, and I've only seen him on Chicken Shop Date, but he seems quite fun. And it seems like to him, this is just a dream come true to go on Taskmaster. So I feel like this season we're just going to have people who are just so excited to be there, and I think that's really, really fun. And last but not least is Zoe Ball, and again, I've not really seen too much of her outside of being a presenter, but I think she's a good presenter, so I think she'll be good on the show. So yeah, I am quite excited for this. I think it's, as I said, Steve-Bynoe I'm very, very excited for, but I think it'll be a good episode. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about this time. Let me know your thoughts on Taskmaster Series 16, judging by the reactions from people on Reddit and Facebook and Twitter and everything. Everybody has really, really enjoyed this season, so which I think is fantastic. I love when we just collectively all agree that this is an amazing show and an amazing set of contestants. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a like. It really helps the channel, and subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I'll have some more out for you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.